A number of organizations got together and started to talk about how they can help advance voter registration activities around the country using motor vehicle registration to actually register people to vote. In 1993, we were very successful finally in getting the bill passed. Richard Cloward was the father of agency-based registration. He was a sociology professor at Columbia University who, along with Francis Fox Piven, wrote a book called Regulating the Poor. But that book and other books that they've written inspired an entire nation to see the underclass of America as an important political potent force in our culture. Richard Cloward was a champion of voting rights and social welfare rights and the rights of the poor, and he'll always be remembered as a champion of the people. Frank Park was an activist for voting rights in Mississippi and throughout the South. He filed numerous lawsuits protecting the right to vote and was successful. He stood for the right to vote no matter what state, no matter what color, no matter what gender. Frank was a champion for voting rights for all Americans.
I knew Patrick. He was an amazing man. A man who believed that people could change the world. I think it's as simple as that.
Patrick Lippert was one of the new emerging leaders of the voting rights struggle in 1992 when a group of entertainment activists in Los Angeles started the group called Rock the Vote. Patrick was able to galvanize entertainment industry and the rock and roll music industry to support this bill. It brought popular culture support for motor voter. And as an activist who died from AIDS, he helped bring dignity and understanding to a country who was just awakening to the devastation of that disease. Althea Simmons was a very strong, defiant director of the Washington Bureau of the NAACP. During the fight for motor voter, she stood firm against any provisions that would dilute the African American vote and single-handedly held up passage of any legislation that would be passed by the U.S. Congress that would do anything to undercut the Voting Rights Act of this country. Al Raby stood as a shining example of what committed grassroots activists can do when they have a good mission and a good cause. His commitment to social justice remains something that is strong and unforgettable. Al Raby was a champion of the people, and he gave his life in that struggle. Justin Dart was one of the most visible disability activists who ever lived in the United States. He not only fought for the Americans with Disabilities Act, but he fought for the National Voter Registration Act. Justin Dart was a champion for the disability community here in Washington and all across the country. Willie Velazquez died before he had a chance to see the passage of the National Voter Registration Act, but his defiance and his determination became a major force in the ability to get this bill passed. Willie defiantly stood up to the political parties and told them that the Hispanic and Latino vote could not be taken for granted. Willie Velazquez was a champion of the Latino community, not just in Texas and the Southwest, but all across America. Ron Brown was the chair of the Democratic National Committee and the first African-American chair of that organization. During our battles to pass the motor voter bill, Ron would leave the comfortable quarters of the Democratic National Committee, come over to the United States House, sit with us and strategize on ways that African Americans and disadvantaged people could have their right to vote restored. Ron Brown served as the first vice chair for voter registration of the Democratic National Committee and dedicated his time in that position to advancing the cause of voter registration and voting rights for all Americans. NAACP National Voter Fund commissioned a study in February of 2003 of the impact of the motor voter bill, and after several months of analysis, we discovered that well over 120 million voters were registered through the provisions of this bill. There's only one thing that binds us together as a nation. It's not how much money we have. It's not the kind of car we drive. It's not even our stature in life or the job we hold. It's this thing called the right to vote.